and welcome to Sports Extraordinary. My name is Kingsley Mano, and I'm very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest happening involving around the world of sport. It promises to be an exciting edition of the show, as we shall, of course, bring you the latest as it concerns the U.S. Open. Is getting heated already, as we're seeing some interesting results. Of course, the Italian Grand Prix makes a return this weekend, and we look forward to see how that one, of course, will pan out. The practice sections are on already, and I tell you, it's been an impressive one. The transfer deadline day, of course, is today, and I tell you, players are moving left, right, center. Will definitely take in the transfer deadline today. So it's a very, very huge package we have for you today. So we'll urge you to sit tight as we're ready to, of course, take you 360 around the world of sports. We'll take a short break now, and when we'll come back, of course, we'll dive straight into the nitty-gritty of today's Sports Extraordinary show. Please stay with us. Welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television and Network. Joining me on today's edition of the show is Victor. Okay, good evening to you, Victor, and welcome to Sports Extraordinary.
Good evening, Kingsley. Thank you for having me.
All right, Victor, let's quickly take a look at what is happening at the U.S. Open. It's getting interesting already, as Spanish top seed Carlos Alcaraz continued the defense of his US Open men's title with a straight set win over South Africa's Lord Harris. Alcaraz, who's 20 years, was made to work hard in the third set before sealing a 6-3, 6-1, 7-6 victory in New York. And now Alcaraz is aiming to become the first man to win back-to-back US Open titles since Roger Federer in 2008 and will face Britain Dan Evans, in the third round. What they make of this move, sensational move, of course, for the defending champion of the US Open, talking about Carlos Alcaraz. The man has been very, very consistent and looking very optimistic to defend this one. How far do you see Carlos Alcaraz go from here?
Yes, it was never any doubt because we all know his qualities, and for sure, I think for him to have that at the back of his mind that he's going to be the youngest, he's going to be the youngest tennis player to defend the title, a U.S. Open. That is a sensational record for him to have, and I think that should be enough drive to drive him to winning the title because he has the qualities. He can surely win it, but you you can't take your mind off other players like Novak Djokovic. I know Andy Murray he got knocked out, but there are also people who can look at and say, okay, we can do something. But Carlos Alcaraz, for sure, I'll be looking at him. I would want him to win it because he has been doing very well. 20 years old, and then he has achieved a whole lot. Feels like he's 25 or 30, but he's just 20. So, yeah, that is impressive, and congratulations to him.
Interesting one for Carlos Alcaraz getting to the third round for the US Open. The defending champion he is, and we look forward to see how far, of course, he will go in the competition. Now, third seed Daniil Medvedev won 6-2, 6-2, 6-7, 6-2 against Chris O'Connell. Russian Medvedev, who won his Raw Major at Flushing Meadows in 2021, was cruising by 2 sets and a breakup before he allowed the Australian back into the contest. Meanwhile, John Isner brought the cutting down on his professional career as the American veteran lost a 5-set thriller to compatriot Michael Moore. Isner, who is 38 years, lost 3-6, 4-6, 7-6, 6-4, 7-6 as Moore fought back from match points down to win a 10th set tie break. Elsewhere, Italian Matteo Berrettini is out after retiring when trailing 6-4, 5-3 to France Arthur Redinek. 6-6 Jannik Sinner is through with a 6-4, 6-2, 6-4 win over another Italian, Lorenzo Sonego. And Andy Murray says he might need to accept a long-awaited deep run at a Grand Slam, as a Grand Slam may not ever come after his latest effort was ended in the US Open second round. Former world number 1 Murray, who is 36, lost 6-3, 6-4, 6-1 against 19th seed Kirill Dimitrov in New York. Murray is ranked 37th now and has not reached the last 16 of the major since resuming his career after hip surgery in 2019. This is another setback for Andy Murray.
Another setback, and I think him himself, I think he would have seen it coming because he said himself that there is more to give. And I don't know, the Murray that we used to know is not the Murray that we're seeing right now. But anyhow, I think he would need to go and take a long look. I don't think this would be his last singles tournament, but for sure it was a disappointing one for him to come up and then get knocked out at such an early stage. I think this is day 4. This is day 4, and trust me, he would not be happy with himself. He still has more to give. He's just 36. Let's see, perhaps he would come up and win the next one. I really doubt it with people like Alcaraz, and you also have Novak Djokovic too.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's see how it goes for the man and the Murray. We hope, of course, he bounced back from those defeats. But will he bounce back very well, or will he bounce back, of course, to come put up a challenge once again. Let's say it's really been a struggle for, Andy Murray after the 2019 hip surgery. Despite the fact that he's been trying to make a comeback, trying as much as he can to put himself, on the front, but it has not been easy for the man. I think it is as a result of the effort he has put of recent. That's why we even saw his ranking coming up to 37.
37. Or else he would have been, let's say, 40 seed or 50-something seed.
Sure.
But Andy Murray, he has been a fighter, honestly. And for him to come back, I think he would need to go on immense rehabilitation. He did very well in Australia, performed miraculously, but I think this US Open, I really doubted if I would see him. And then he came up and competed. It was good, it was courageous, but I think he needs to go on immense rehabilitation so he can get his health and his physicality in order, because he was bouncing all over the court that day. And he wasn't looking like the Andy Murray that we know and we have come to love.
All right, we'll bring you more results, more of the results coming from the male category. But let's quickly move on to the female category now, as Elena Victorina said she was looking for motivation when she asked the chair umpire for an update on her husband Gail Murphy match during her comeback win at the US Open. Trolimba is said to Anastasia Puvajonkova. Vitolina asked about Murphy match against Andrew Rublev, and Vitolina recovered to win 5-7, 6-4, 6-4, setting up a third-round meeting with American third seed Jessica Pegula. Victorina, she was worried, by her husband, but she, of course, later decided to summon courage to try to put a comeback, in that one.
That match, yeah. It was really good. I think for her to come back, and well, I read earlier the battles, and she, Anastasia, I'm trying to pronounce that name correctly, let me not murder the name. Sorry. So she asked about Murphy's match against Rublev, and she still had to bring her all, and she had to bring a different energy. And I think she summoned courage, because if it was some other players, I think it took a great deal of courage to summon and get back in that match and summon that comeback, because it would not be easy for her, both emotionally and also physically too. When you talk about mental strength, this is where we're coming to now. Athletes with mental strength, someone that courage to come back into that game. It was really good to see.
Good to see for Victorina. As well, Wimbledon champion Makeda Vondrousova eased through by beating Italian Martina Trevisan 6-2, 6-2. The Czech 9-seed Grand Slam win in a row. Tunisian 5th seed Ongevois, who lost to Vondrousova in the Wimbledon title match, showed her defense to beat 18-year-old Czech Linda Noskova 7-6, 4-6, 6-3. Despite continuing to show signs of illness. Ongevois, also the runner-up at the Flushing Meadows last year, was coughing throughout the match and during her post-match interview on the court. Russian 13th seed Darren Kasatkina fought back from his set and a breakdown to beat American opponent Sofia Kenin 2-6, 6-4, 6-4. And American Madison Keys, the 2017 runner-up, was comfortable in brushing aside Began Yanina 6-1, 6-2 in 54 minutes. And second seed Arina Sabalenka proved far too strong for Britain Jodie Burrage in a 6-3, 6-2 win. And that's one. So that's the latest, of course, coming from the US Open. The try as you can, of course, to keep you updated as the results unfold. But let's move down to Formula One as we take a look at the Italian Grand Prix that comes up this weekend. Red Bull Max Verstappen got his quest for a record-breaking 10 consecutive victory, all four to a good start at the Italian Grand Prix. The championship leader set the pace in the first practice at Monza, as second by 0.046 0.46 seconds in that one. And was such an impressive one for the man, Max Verstappen. But their teammates, Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc, were third and fourth. And Mercedes driver George Russell and Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso completed the top six. Alonso was the only driver in the top six to run the medium tires. Everyone else was on the hard compound. And McLaren London Norris, whose best time was set on the soft tire, was seventh fastest ahead of Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton, AlphaTauri Yoko Tsunoda, and Williams driver Alex Albon in that one. What do you make of it? Max Verstappen setting the pace in the Italian Grand Prix first practice section.
Yeah, well, he did well, but you have to understand that it wasn't a good Friday. So many things went bad in the both free practice sessions. But, you know, that's the thing about Formula One. You know, you practice and then you see your teammates where you guys are not doing well, your wing and all the rest, and also find ways to give more and do better. Like he said himself in an interview when I watched earlier, he said he has more to give, that he's not really impressed. I'm paraphrasing here. He's not really impressed with the both practice sessions, but he would work with to see that everything and that they give more, everything is in order when the Grand Prix comes this weekend.
Interesting, Bona. Let's see how it goes. Of course, he didn't do well in the second practice section. Yeah. And even Lewis Hamilton as well didn't do well in the first practice section. He finished 8th in the first practice section. And in the second practice section, he finished 17th position. Lewis Hamilton just signed a 2-year contract, with Mercedes. Yeah. I don't know what you make of it. Since last season, the man hasn't won a race. And the season is gradually is winding down gradually, and we're not seeing that spirit of that winning mentality from the Mercedes guys as it stands.
Well, he is Lewis Hamilton. He is Lewis Hamilton, and the Lewis Hamilton that we know will always come back. But we wonder when. That's just the problem now. When is he going to come back? Since last year, he has not won a race. And then this Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, is coming 17th in the second free practice session. And then says he's coming first. So we have to, I think he has to go back to the blueprint or go back to the chalkboard or wherever he draws his plan and then know what's wrong. Because for sure, the engine is there, the drive is there. He just needs to find a way to make things work. Because I don't seem to understand why, since last year, Lewis Hamilton has not won a race. It's not acceptable. And I think he needs to go back and also find out what the problem is. If it's the different locations or wherever, he needs to find out if it's fellow drivers. No, it can't be the car now.
Of course, the Mercedes car has not been that very fantastic, since last season.
Since last
man
season.
has been complaining that, I think this time around they actually complained of speed, that the car is not actually giving him the kind of speed he wants.
I think they changed their tires.
Not necessarily tires. This might actually be the engine problem.
There were news that they changed their tires because they were trying to reduce their carbon footprint. So they actually changed tire allocations for their various cars. So perhaps that could play a part in that. But I still think they need to go back to the chalkboard and understand really what the problem is, and then try to iron it out. Because the Lewis Hamilton that we know, it's unacceptable for him to not have won a race until now. It's not acceptable.
All right, so the Italian Grand Prix comes up this weekend, and we'll see if we get this one. Will it be Max Verstappen? The man has been dominating, I tell you. Will he also clinch this one as well? Or can Lewis Hamilton, of course, put up a resurgence, in his career and come up to take this one? It's still very much open. It's still the practice section. Practice section do not really determine if you get, or you win the race, at the end. or for the day. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
But they are important, though.
Very, very important.
Very
Very,
important.
very important.
Yeah.
Like what we've seen at this point in time, Lewis Hamilton will really have to go back and put himself in shape.
Yes.
Position 8 in the first practice section,
And
17th in the second practice section.
Acceptable.
I tell you, it's not a very good result to take home as a stand. But we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, of course, we'll dive straight into the beautiful world of football. Stay with us. The Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and we'll bring you the latest revolving around the world of sports. Let's talk football on the show as we take a look at the Europa League draw. Now, Brighton have been drawn with Ayers, Marseille, and Athens in Group B for the 2023 and 2024 Europa League. The Segus finished sixth last season, securing European football for the first time in their 122-year history. Liverpool will face Lax, Union Saint-Cloud, and Toulouse in Group E, while West Ham take on Olympiacos Freiburg, PSC Baka, Topola in Group A. Rangers are with River Betis, Sparta Prague, RS Le Masso in Group C, and the Europa League. Of course, those are just some of the groupings we've seen so far. But from Group A, West Ham are in Group A now. They will actually they were paired with Olympiacos, Freiburg, TSC, Topola. With that particular group, talking about Group A. Victor, what do you make of that group? West Ham back in the Europa League. You think this might be an easy ride for them?
It should be because they have a good coach, they have a good squad, and I think the exit of their main man, the engine room of their midfield last season, I'm talking about Declan Rice. I think it's going to affect them in one way or the other, but they will still find a way to move forward from the group. David Moyes is trying to do something with this West Ham side, and it's really interesting to see. They just won the Conference League last season, so this season I'm sure they would be willing to. They would want to move further in the Europa League like they did in the season before they won the Conference League.
Interesting. Let's take a look at Group B. As Ayers, of course, we are paired with Marcel, and Brighton, of course, in that one. Athens as well in that particular one. Brighton in that group.
Yes, Brighton, for the first time in their history, playing in Europe. That shows a well-managed club. And to say they just came to the Premier League some seasons ago or not too long ago, and now they're playing Europe. It's very remarkable, and it's amazing to see. But they have a good coach too. Roberto De Zerbi did very well with his Brighton side after Potter left last season and to join Chelsea. Although he didn't do very well, but that's another story. But Roberto De Zerbi he took this Brighton side, did very, very well, did very spectacular, and then they're in Europe this season. And also, lots of people are saying they are favourites to win it because of the transfers they've made. You know, they just got in Ansu Fati from Barcelona, and they also had some players leave as well, like Mope, who has left them. But I think they should still be able to come out of their group if you're talking of group stages. So they should be able to come out of their group and also go far in the competition. So Brighton, interesting one. And it will be interesting to watch them in the Europa League this season.
Talking about Brighton, you know, getting the man Ansu Fati, you know, how instrumental do you think the man will be for Brighton?
Ansu Fati is an amazing player. When he first started playing for Barcelona, people were calling him the heir to Messi's throne because he was very spectacular. He could dribble, he could score, he could shoot, he had pace. But injuries really had the better of him. So he didn't really feel that potential. But I feel he would want to revive his career at Brighton. And that would be the best place to do it, in my opinion, because you have a squad that is also young around you, just like he's young, he's 20 years old. So it will be interesting to watch him. Also in the Premier League too, and he can, who knows, he can stay at Brighton next season. But I doubt Barcelona will be willing to do that, but that would be something that we'll have to see in time.
I heard the deal, there was no option to buy.
Yeah, Barcelona, there was no option to buy. They wanted to, they would hope to keep Ansu Fati. I think Barcelona still have Ansu Fati in their project, but he needs to play football. He's a good player. He needs to play football, so he can do that at Brighton.
All right, let's take a look at Group C. Still talking about the Europa League draw. Rangers are in that group. Real Betis are in that group. Sparta Prague in that group. Riz Limassol as well in that group. And for Group D, we have Atalanta, Sporting Lisbon, Stormgrass, and Braco. Group E is the group where we have Liverpool, Lax Union, St. Cloud, Toulouse, as well in that group. What do you make of that group? Liverpool back to the Europa League.
Yeah, Liverpool playing Europa League. The last time they played Europa League, they got to the final, although they lost the final, but it was still under Jurgen Klopp. And I think they just fell short last season, falling to the Europa League places. But still, they would want to make the best of this situation they found themselves. I think they should be the biggest team in the Europa League this season, for sure. Liverpool should be the biggest team in the Europa League this season. So for sure, they would want to go all the way and win it. But you know, it's Europe, and in Europe you can't rule out any team whatsoever, especially in the Europa League. So for sure, Liverpool will come out of their group, and I'm very sure they would get to the knockout stages, far stages of the knockouts. Yeah.
Interesting one. Let's take a look at Group F. As Villarreal, of course, were paired with Rennes, Maccabi Haifa, and Panathinaikos as well. And that's one for Group G. AS Roma are there, Slava Prague is there, Sheriff Tiraspol there, and Sevesta as well. For Group H, Bayer Leverkusen are there, Karabakh are there, Molde is there, and also there, BK Haken there in that particular group. Let's take a look at the Conference League group as well. For Group A, we have Lille, Slovan Bratislava, and Olymp Pinja Ljubljana as well in that one. And for Group B, we have Genk, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Zoya Lukas as well. And that's one. And for Group C, Dynamo Zagreb against they will play against Victoria Plzen in that group, and Astana as well. For Group D, Club Brugge as well in that one. Bode are also there, and Besiktas as well. For Group E, AZ Alkmaar there, Aston Villa there, Lega Warsaw. They are also in that one. Aston Villa in the Conference League.
Yes, Aston Villa did very well last season, especially their coach, Unai Emery.
Yeah.
When he came in, they were fighting relegation battles. They were down in the relegation waters. And then he took the team and transformed the team into a good team that ended up in Europe. So for sure, Aston Villa, another real good English team to watch out for when it comes to the Conference League. Unai Emery doing very well with his side. Made some signings, Clement Longley, and also he also got in Pau Torres from Villarreal. So for sure, he's trying to strengthen his squad to put up with the big boys in the Premier League, so to say. So for sure, the Conference League should be a league where they should find it a little bit easier because they have a good squad and also their manager is also very, very good.
Interesting. And for Group F, Ferencváros are there, Fiorentina also there, Genk are there. For Group G, we have Eintracht Frankfurt and Thessaloniki are also there, and Helsinki as well. For Group H, Fenerbahce are there, Ludogorets Razgrad are there, Sparta Nava are also there as well in that group. So that is how the Europa League and the Conference League draw, been shaped up, and we look forward to see how the action will look like when the matches, of course, commences. Let's move on now as we take a trip now to bring you the latest, as a concise transfer or done deals on transfer deadline day. Of course, don't forget that 11 p.m. tonight, of course, it will be done and dusted when it comes to transfer in Europe. And we hear the summer transfer window is set to close today after a summer that has featured record spending among Premier League clubs. Analysts from Deloitte, of course, published last week shows the previous spending record of £1.92 billion set last summer has already been surpassed, with £2 billion barrier expected, of course, to be broken. But there is still business to be done. And of course, we'll try as much as we can to capture some of the done deals. But Victor, what do you make of this transfer this transfer summer ever since it started?
Yeah, the summer started with huge transfers. We're talking of transfers that had both highs and low sums. Transfers of hundreds of millions of pounds every week. Talking of people like Caicedo moving, the whole drama that had to deal with his own transfer. Was it Liverpool? Is it Chelsea? Is he staying at Brighton? Where else is he going to? So, yeah, the summer transfer did not disappoint. We had lots of big transfers. And also, today, which is deadline day, there are also lots of big news and lots of talks pertaining a certain Egyptian man in Merseyside. So we would see what happens with that. But transfer window has not disappointed. We have had lots of big transfers. Clubs have spent the highest money they have ever spent in a transfer window in this summer. So that will tell you that lots of clubs are willing to spend to make sure that they compete. And they also come up, we see even the lower teams spending millions, bringing players just so that they can also have a bite at the pinnacle of whichever league they might fall under. So this season is going to be an interesting season, and we look forward to seeing all these transfers play out at their various clubs. And also, when we talk about summer transfers, for the first time, we're talking about Saudi Arabia. We haven't been talking about Saudi Arabia when we talk about summer transfers. But this season, we're talking about Saudi Arabia because Saudi clubs are now coming out. And it's a whole new conversation now. Should FIFA stop them from spending huge sums, or should there be a sort of financial fair play in their spending or their transfers? We'll see what happens with that. But until then, they will keep spending and they will keep getting players and they will keep getting good players. So, for sure.
Talking about Saudi Arabia, of course, getting players, They've really come hard this time around on Liverpool. Don't forget, they've gotten some of their players, the likes of, I think, Fabinho,
Yes.
Anderson,
Anderson.
as a stand. And now they are coming, very, very hard on them once again. And this time around for Mohamed Salah.
Yes.
We hear that they only put up 150 million pounds this afternoon, and Liverpool rejected that, offer, saying that they don't want to sell Mohamed Salah in as much as they are concerned, with this matter, as it is. But I think we'll later go to report that they increased the bid again to 200 million pounds, and we've not heard anything yet from the camp of Liverpool about the situation. But I don't know what you make of it at this point.
Well, 200 million pounds for a 31-year-old player is astronomical in today's market. So if I were Liverpool, it would be difficult, but I would still take the money. But then you ask the question, if Liverpool take the money, who do they get as replacement for Mohamed Salah? Well, then you have the winter window to get a replacement. But it's a really difficult position Liverpool are in right now. 200 million it's not an easy money to come by. Who knows when next they might get that sort of offer for any of their players, any of them whatsoever. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch. But we'll see what Liverpool does with that. The window is just a few hours away from closing. So Liverpool will soon be put out of their misery, for sure.
But from what we're saying, yes, Liverpool, they've not said anything yet about maybe if they would take the 200 million pounds. But do you think if they don't sell Salah at this moment, do they stand any chance of regretting their decision?
If they don't sell Salah?
Yeah.
I don't think they would regret, unless they would look at the money as money lost. But, Saudi Arabia, there would always be someone to bid for. So perhaps they might receive another offer for another player from a Saudi club. So, for sure.
All right, let's see how it goes. That is the situation at the moment as it concerns Mohamed Salah at Liverpool. Will he leave Liverpool tonight? That we don't know yet. But of course, after 11 p.m. tonight, we'll definitely know the destination of Mohamed Salah at the moment. Let's stay away from Salah as we take a look at other matters as well as it concerns transfer. We hear Everton midfielder Alex will be set to join Fulham after the two clubs agreed a deal which could reach £32 million. The Nigerian, who is 27, will now travel to London for a medical with a view to completing the move before the transfer deadline today. Everton, talking about Alex Iwobi now to Fulham.
Yes, it's going to be a good move for him. Fulham is an upcoming club. I feel they have some players that are willing to put in shifts or putting a shift to make sure that they win matches. And it will be coming in, will also be a mantle of leadership on him because he's a big game player. He's a big player in England. He's well respected in England, came to Everton from Arsenal, a huge team. And then he has not done badly at Everton either. But, Everton right now, they are really going down. They need to restructure themselves and see what's wrong. They need new players. They need to see what they can do best and how they can get players that can keep them in the Premier League. Because the players they have now, they might not stay in the Premier League for too long. They might get relegated this season, but we'll see what happens with that. They keep escaping it every season.
Yeah.
But this season seems like they might not be able to escape it. So he will be leaving Everton and going to Fulham, a much more serious team where he can have a leadership role to play with the players there. I think that would be a very good move for him. And he's a Nigerian too. So it's a good move for Nigerian.
Good move for the Nigerian, talking about Alex Iwobi. We'll pray that, of course, he actually gets it better down there at Fulham. Let's talk about another man as well. We hear that Aston Villa have completed a loan move for Barcelona defender Clement Legnet, subject to his visa being approved. The 28-year-old French international returning to the Premier League after making 24 starts in 26 appearances last season for Tottenham Hotspur. The man is moving to Aston Villa, and Aston Villa in the UEFA Conference League.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they got good players in. Pau Torres also from Villarreal, very good player, very good defender. And then you have Clement Lenglet, who is very experienced too when it comes to big games and also even in the Champions League too. So it would be a good move for him going to Aston Villa, where I guess with all respect, there would be less pressure on him because it's a much more smaller team. And also, you know, when you have a smaller team, you know, you can express yourself a little more and also give a little more. So for sure, Aston Villa, it's a loan move, so but it's still a good move for him because he needs to get playing time, and Aston Villa will be the right place to get that experience and that whole experience that comes with leading a team that is coming up with a good coach. So yeah, that would be a good move for him.
Interesting one, and we look forward to see how, of course, Legnet will be able to survive down there at Aston Villa. And she talked about transfers. Spain forward Ansu Fati has completed a season-long loan move to Premier League side Brighton from Barcelona. Fati had fallen down the pecking order at Barcelona, who needed to create some space in their squad beside Manchester City fullback Joe Cancelo alone. A Brighton deal for the 20-year-old does not include an obligation to buy. So Ansu Fati now a Brighton player, and he has been unveiled already.
Yes, he has been unveiled by Brighton and Hove Albion. And like we said earlier, it's a good deal. It's a good move for him because he's a very good player. So he has to play matches. He has to get some minutes under his belt. For sure, we all knew Barcelona would not want to let him go that easy, especially that young. I don't think Barcelona is willing to let Ansu Fati go that young at 20. But for him to get playing time in England, in Brighton and Hove Albion, who is going to play the Europa League, that will be a very nice deal for him. He's going to get experience, he's going to get match fitness, and also he's going to help a team that's coming up in the Premier League too, and also going into Europe. So for sure, it's going to be a good deal for both Barcelona, who are willing to create space, and also for Ansu Fati, who wants to get some minutes under his belt.
A good deal, of course, for Barcelona and Brighton, and for the man as well. Talking about Ansu Fati, let's keep our fingers crossed. This is the English Premier League. A whole lot of persons says that the Premier League is tougher than the Spanish La Liga. This is another climate entirely for the man.
Yeah. So it's a new climate. It's it's a whole different league. So the way La Ligas are won is not the way Premier Leagues are won. The teams in La Liga is also not the same teams in the Premier League. So it's going to be a whole different experience for him. And lots of people who come to the Premier League say that the Premier League is tougher. Like you have Casemiro, who came in from Real Madrid and said that the intensity here is more. And also you have Rafael Varane, who also came from same Real Madrid and also made a similar comment. So perhaps the Premier League is tougher, perhaps it's not. Who's to say? We are just an audience or spectators. But the thing is, it's going to be a different experience for him, and honestly, he's going to need that experience because he's still young, 20. So he needs to play matches. He needs to play football matches, and high-level matches at that. So he can get that at Brighton because Brighton is a small team coming up. They have a nice manager who is also good at working with young people. So he's going to have the best deal that he could have ever had.
Interesting. Let's see how it goes for the man and Fati, but let's stay away from that as we hear Manchester City have completed the signing of midfielder Matthew Nunes. from Wolves for £53 million. The deal will include a 10% sell-on clause for Wolves from any profit City make on the 25-year-old in the future. And the Portugal international, who has 11 caps for his country, has signed a 5-year contract with City. How instrumental would Nunes be for Manchester City?
He would be very instrumental. You know, they just lost their star man, Kevin De Bruyne, to injury. So they would want someone who is willing or who can give that same service at that same quality. Although, you know, you can't match De Bruyne's qualities. He's the best in the world. But Matheus Nunes will bring a different dimension. You know, when we saw him against Manchester United in the first game of the season, of the Premier League season, when they played Manchester United at Old Trafford, you know, he was very good. He dominated the midfield in that game, running through the Manchester United's midfield, creating chances left, right, and centre. So he can still bring that same energy to the City team. And honestly, he would love it because moving from Wolves to Manchester City is a very big upgrade. Because you're moving from Wolves to the best team in the world, probably, and also they're playing the Champions League, and you will have that experience. So it would be a nice deal for him. I'm sure he would love it.
We heard the man was really, eager to join City.
Yes, for sure.
He stopped training on his own as well.
Yes, yeah. So if you hear that City is coming for you, you will want to join Manchester City because they are the best team in the world. So everyone would love to play for this Manchester City side, especially for Pep Guardiola, who is very good at developing players who he manages. So for sure, Matheus Nunes it would be interesting to see him in Manchester City. It couldn't work out in Manchester United. Every season he was linked with Manchester United, but finally he has gone to Manchester City. And so, yes, we'll see what happens with that.
All right, we hear that Manchester United, they've agreed a loan deal for Tottenham fullback Sergio Reguilón. United are searching for a left back with both Luke Shaw and Trey Malacia out for an extended period of time because of injury. Now, talks with Chelsea over Marc Cucurella failed to reach a positive conclusion, but the conversation over Spain Reguilón have been more fruitful. And Reguilón, who is 26 years, has passed his medical and could feature in everything has scored for Sunday's trip to Arsenal. What do you make of this man, Reguilón, to Manchester United?
Yeah, it was an interesting deal. Sergio Reguilón, very good player, and he was close to joining Manchester United before, but it didn't work out. So he joined Tottenham instead, and he has failed under the pecking order because he's now, I think, third choice left back at Tottenham. He's no longer starting games. So Manchester United saw that as a good opportunity to entice him to come to Manchester United. And he took the offer, thankfully, and he's going to replace Luke Shaw, who is out on injury. And also the second choice left back, Tyrell Malacia, is also injured. So there is no current left back who is a top professional at Manchester United. So it will be a good deal for them and also for Reguilón, who would also have some playing time that he can't get at Tottenham. And also, Reguilón, the deal also involves a clause that the loan can be called off at January. So he can leave Manchester United at January if both clubs agree. So, yeah, it's a good deal for him.
So talking about Manchester United, the deal for Sylvain Amrabat, we hear has been concluded.
Yeah, finally. You know, United fans have been waiting all window for Manchester United to sign Sylvain Amrabat. But the news came around 2 p.m. today that the deal has been completed. So I'm sure Manchester United fans are excited, and also people who support Manchester United. So Sylvain Amrabat, coming from Fiorentina, the deal is a loan with an obligation to buy. So he's going to remain at Manchester United. So once the loan expires or once the loan is over, he's going to remain at Manchester United. So for sure, to be a nice deal. Eric Ten Hag has been looking to strengthen his midfield, and Sofian Amrabat is the man to do that because we have seen his qualities. He was one of the standout performers at the Europa League final. No, not Europa League. It was a Conference League final for Fiorentina last season. So, yeah, for sure, to be a good deal.
Okay, interesting one for Manchester United, trying to grab the best they can now. Since talking about United, they have signed a Turkey goalkeeper at Bayadel from Fenerbahce for £4.3 million. What do you make of this one? They've gotten Andrew Onana, and now they've also gotten another goalkeeper.
Yes, he's going to be the backup because Dean Henderson, who was the backup to Onana, has left. So he's going to be the backup to replace Dean Henderson. So, and he has already started training. I saw videos of him training with the other fellow goalkeepers today. So, yeah, it will be a good deal. I think he's going to come up with some matches this season. He's going to have some minutes. So, overall, good deal.
Chelsea have signed England on the 21 forward Cole Palmer from Manchester City for an initial £40 million. The deal included further £2.5 million in add-ons, and the 21-year-old has signed a 7-year contract with the option of a further year. Palmer was part of England's side, which won the European Under-21 Championship earlier this summer, and is a product of the City Academy as well. Let's move on the SS. Take a look at all that matters as well as concerned transfers. We hear Nottingham Forest have signed Portuguese fullback Nuno Tavares from Arsenal on a season-long, including future option. A 23-year-old joined the Gunners from Benfica in an £8 million deal in 2021 and has made 28 appearances for the club. He spent last season on loan at Marseille, scoring 6 goals in 31 League One games. And at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. Victor, what what should we expect before 11 p.m. tonight?
Well, we're checking breaking news right now. You can see that Patson Daka, another African, has just concluded his transfer to Bournemouth. So he's set to join Bournemouth from Leicester, who are currently in the Championship. And apart from that, we have no other huge news. But if we have news, you will be sure to hear it from Atlantic Television Network first.
All right. At this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. We'll be back tomorrow to bring you some interesting stories revolving around the world of sports. Don't forget, Mr. Unity always a pathways to progress. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.
So now, this is when you're at your best.